Hey YouTube, tomorrow is Sewaddle's Community Day, and what we're going to do in this video is go over whether the new Community Day move gives this Pokemon any play in the Great League or Ultra League. So before we do, we just need to go over the event details. 2 to 5, Saturday, learning the fast move Shadow Claw. So as soon as you see Shadow Claw, you should get excited because Shadow Claw is one of the best fast moves in the game. It's got one of the best damage per turn and energy per turn ratios in the game, only behind a few others. So it's a very, very, very strong fast move. The main bonus here is a quarter egg hatch distance when eggs are placed in incubator. So put your incubators on to hatch those eggs quickly, and then you get your 2 times candy, 2 times chance, which seems to be generally how they do it. Okay, so before we go into what does this mean for this Pokemon for Shadow Claw, we need to look at it in general. So Leavanny is ranked 410 in the Great League, and it unfortunately suffers from a few things. One is its stat product distribution. Very, very high attack, almost 131, but a very low defense and stamina. So it's a pretty glassy Pokemon. Definitely on the attack heavy side. Like once you get into the 130s, 140s, like 140s are your real glass cannons, but 131 is pretty high. It's not even as high as I would like to see it to be, like that low in defense and stamina, which is already where you're sort of in trouble. You got a higher attack, lower defense, stamina, lower overall stat product, but not with that like 135, 140 nuke attack that you would normally have. In terms of its current stat product, its charge moves are actually great. Leaf Blade is 35 energy, is the quickest move in the game. Your typing is grass bug, so you get same type attack bonus on all these moves. So 35 energy only for 84 damage when you get same type attack bonus on top of it for 2.4 damage per energy. So to do that much, like just not even raw damage, but damage per energy for 35 move is insane. And then same thing with X Scissor, right? You have 40 for 78, 1.95 damage per energy. So 2 of the fastest charge moves in the game, Leaf Blade, X Scissor, with same type attack bonus, getting really high in the damage per energy. So this is fantastic. Like right off the bat, this is great. Its current move is Bug Bite, which has an okay energy and damage per turn ratio. Again, a little slow on the energy, which is not terrible when you have such low moves, but you'd want a little more damage with Bug Bite. So Shadow Claw should be, in terms of just like raw damage, should be an upgrade with same type attack bonus, I think. Let me just quickly check the non-stab Shadow Claw. 3 and 4. 3 damage, 4 energy. So a little less damage. You'll get a little less damage, but more energy. Which, when your charge moves are so hard hitting, I feel like that is an improvement. Just giving up a little bit of damage to get to these very hard hitting, very good charge moves. So I think that straight up, it should be an improvement. Now, whether that improvement translates to wins or losses comes down to this. And this thing suffers, like the attack, high attack, low defense, low stamina is problem number 1. But this is like a 1B. And that Bug Grass combo is possibly the worst combo for a Great League Pokemon. Grass is generally garbage, and so is Bug in this meta. Bug is suffering a lot from like all the poisons that got buffed, like Clodsire and stuff like that. And then so many weaknesses. Double weak to fire and flying. Now flying got nerfed, so there's not as many flyers. But also single weak to bug, ice, poison, and rock. Now there are some nice double resistances. Ground being in particular, so because ground got buffed. So you're seeing a lot more ground Pokemon. Again, not a ton of grass yet. Some grass coming up, so you double resist those. And then single resist fighting, water, and electric. So I like the resistances. These are like quite good resistances, but 6 weaknesses in a mixture of everything that is kind of out there with the low attack stat products does not give me optimism. So grass and bug have always been kind of like one of the worst Pokemon like typings in this meta. And there's not much that it's kind of the fault of the games where like some of the benefits of the main series games don't translate to GBL, with like easy evolution and speed and stuff like that. Like that type of stuff does not go into this game. So when you're stuck with just typings that have just a lot of weaknesses and yeah, just stuff like that, it just does not do well. And your stat product doesn't help you there. It does not make a good combo here. Okay, so we put in Shadow Claw into the Great League here, and the difference is 4 plus wins, but you also lose 3. Now, one is a Sableye and Shadow Sableye, so you can argue if you're going to lose this. Well, if they're taking consideration in the wins column, you got to take consideration in the lose column too, because you would have won both and now you lose both. So instead, you can look at it 4-3, or you can look at it as 2-1. Well, 2-1 in this here. No, you just take off 2 for each. You take off 2 wins here, and you take off 2 losses here. So it actually would improve you, because you still pick up these other ones, but you would just get rid of the sort of Sableye, or not 2 of them. You get rid of one of them, because if you're going to lose the one, you're going to lose the other. Okay. Slightly better record, way better average, still not a good average overall. Pick up a Zoomerl for Alligator and Machamp. Wiggly, those are nice pickups. Quite honestly, those are nice pickups. Losing to a Rangaroo and Sableye, not worried too much about Rangaroo. Again, but the main problem is all your weaknesses. So I'm not even going to talk about like these double weaknesses to fire. Obviously, you're going to get killed. But it's just some of like the main meta that you see out there. Like Clodsire. I mean, Clodsire both movesets are here as well. But Clodsire, for Alligator, you should win. Yeah, because you just charge faster than the charge move, so that makes sense that you win there. What else is the main meta? All the ground type Pokemon you should beat. Yeah, there's Gastrodon, Marowak, if it's on here. Kanto Marowak, yeah, you beat that there, right? So those are the obvious ones you should beat. And you're losing to the obvious ones that you should lose. Flyers, Fire, stuff like that. So it's all the sort of in-betweens that we want to check here to see, like, how do you do in, like, a neutral matchup where you're not hitting super effective or they're not hitting super effective. So for example, like Dragon with Goodra, neutral Shadow Claw, neutral X Scissors, you lose. Dunsparce, I mean, they'll hit super effective with Rock. And again, this just comes down to how many weaknesses you have. Drapion, losses. I mean, you only have resisted moves for that, so it's kind of a tough one. Dugong, even with a super effective Leaf Blade, charging faster, you still don't beat Dugong. And then some of the other losses in the main meta here. So you do pick up some wins, especially against the water Pokemon, just because you're getting to that charge move faster. So I think it is beneficial there. But one extra win, higher average, still not great. In the Ultra League, it is actually more of the same. You pick up 3 Clefable, Cobalion, and Zygarde, but you lose for Alligator and Guzzlord for a slightly higher win, 12 and 17. 43 is actually not a bad average. 43 is actually quite good, so you pick up a lot of these. You're going to see a lot of these here, like Weezing, 214 lost to a 406 loss, so you're losing a lot less. 319 to 450, losing a lot less. 354 to 488, losing a lot less. So your average is actually increased substantially in the Ultra League, so that's quite good. I think the problem with the Great League is I think do I think it's usable? 14 and 26 and 458 does not inspire confidence. And I think it comes down to 2 things here. One is I think there's better Shadow Claw users. I would rather have the same type attack bonus on like Sableye, or I'd rather have the Shadow Claw user like for Alligator, which just charging so fast and hitting so hard against so many things. So the Shadow Claw user, it's got there. Again, as a bugs are kind of rough right now against all the poisons that are out there, specifically like Clodsire. Now you do have a second move in grass to help it. I actually like the grass typing more on this than the bug typing. I think that the grass typing actually gives you some coverage here against some of these water Pokemon and ground Pokemon and everything that are pretty prevalent in this meta. But then when you're running bug outside of Mandibuzz, which you can hit with X Scissor, a lot of the flyers will resist all that move set. They'll resist bug and they'll resist grass. So you have a big problem with flying Pokemon. Again, flying got nerfed, so it's not that big. It's not as much. It's not that it's a nothing deal, but it's not as big of a deal as it was last season. And then it, again, plays better in the Ultra League. Again, I think why it plays better in the Ultra League, I think Shadow Claw actually just has more play in the Ultra League, between more Cresselias, more Giratinas, more Steels in the Ultra League with Cobalion and Registeel, that they're not as many Steels in the Great League right now. So Shadow Claw hits neutral as opposed to Bug Bite, which is resisted. So I think you overall play better average. And again, there are still some of those water Pokemon. Some water got nerfed like Swampert and stuff like that, but there's still Feraligators, although you lose the Feraligator now because your damage is not as much. So I don't know. I think just on the basis of stat product and typing, it's probably going to struggle more than it's going to become meta. And the problem is that there's always like, you should get this Pokemon because you never know what gets buffed. Correct. However, this is already a pretty dominant moveset, right? This is the problem with GBL, and this is the problem with, someone wanted me to do a video of like, talk about a Pokemon who's like one move away from being meta. And the problem with this Pokemon is your two factors that do not change are hurting you the most. Your stat product is not going to change because Pokemon Go doesn't change stat products here. And they don't change typings, obviously. You don't change the typing. So these things are staying the same. So the fact that you just have so many weaknesses and a bad stat product, you can't change that. Well, you can change just charge moves, but Shadow Claw is already one of the best fast moves in the game. And I already talked about how with same type attack bonus, these very quick, very hard hitting moves are way better anyways. Like already like some of the best. 2.4 damage per energy and almost 2 damage per energy at a 35-40 moves. Like you're not going to get, the only way you're going to get better is if you get like a Frenzy Plant or something where you get like 45 energy for like 100 something damage plus. So again, if they were going to get Frenzy, they would, I don't know the main series game moves. If you got Frenzy on here with the Shadow Claw, sure, it would be better. But there's not much right now that they can do to make this Pokemon better in terms of move sets. And the problem is, to make Pokemon better, you can only attack the move sets. So I think this Pokemon is kind of just stuck where it is. It is an improvement, higher average. But again, there's still a lot of negatives that go with this Pokemon. So I think people will try it out. Like, again, the content creators are going to drop this, Home Slice Yonkas are going to drop this before I even get the community in my neighborhood. So if you want to try it out, go for it. Just understand its limitations with its typing, and it's probably going to be very glassy. But it probably will spam pretty quickly. And maybe those spams in different shield scenarios help. Let me actually just check different shield scenarios. In the 0 shield scenario, it's the same, but way better average because you're probably landing a second charge move, maybe that you weren't before. So, but you're still very, very classy. So you're probably just going to lose a lot of matchups, be taken out. In the 2 shield, it may be interesting. Yeah, you only pick up one more and your average is still pretty low. I think that just comes down to like you're too glassy in the 2 shield. I bet you with shield advantage, this thing's probably going to do well. The 2-1. Yeah. So in the 2, if you had 2 shields and they have 1 shield scenario, you already had a good record. It's actually for shield advantage, 22 and 18 is actually not a good record, but 27 and 13, you can see just a big pickup there. And same thing in the 1 versus 0, you probably do pretty well. Pick up another 5. Yeah, and that's not surprising how many you're picking up there, because with the shield advantage, because you're so glassy, and these charge moves come so quickly and hurt pretty, like do a decent amount of damage. Like these charge moves will do a decent amount of damage output, and if you're spamming them at a quick rate and have a shield advantage, you can probably take advantage. So if you're going to team build with this Pokemon, 2 things. You need to team build 1 with 2 bulky Pokemon, so you basically need shield advantage for this thing. So take that shield advantage, do 2 bulk Pokemon, and then you need to cover 6 weaknesses. So fire, flying, bug, ice, poison, and rock. The problem is these are all over the place in terms of weakness, right? I can see electric being okay. But there's not a lot of like electric Pokemon. Yeah, because like electric is going to be weak to like ground and stuff, which you resist here. So like an electric Pokemon that can deal with like flying. It's funny because I put in fire because I only think of like Talonflame, but there are other fires that aren't electric. And ice, I was just thinking Dugong, which is water, but there are other ices that aren't weak to electric. So even electric may not be that fantastic of an answer. And then I was thinking like ice, but then ice, you're weak to fire and rock. So maybe that's not a good answer. And then neutral against other ice. And this is why it's going to be difficult to team build. So unless you just do like 2 bulky Pokemon in like, but for Alligator is not a bulky Pokemon. I think for Alligator is a spammy Pokemon where you can grab shields and that have some like water. This is why water is generally so good. Because water will hit super effective against fire and rock and resist ice. So water has play. So think of like a bulky water Pokemon potentially to build with this. And if you resist fighting, maybe like a Dugong. Dugong would be pretty interesting actually because you hit double super effective against the flyers with your ice. Then you have a drill run for the fire, poison, and rock. So Dugong, this Pokemon. So let's just put it in the team builder because let's see what they recommend. Vinny with Shadow Claw. See, even, yeah, consistency, but just lacking a lot there. So, yeah, not surprising, right? Walrein, Sand Slash, right? They're going to this Auroras, right? They're going to ice, which is kind of what I went to. Ice to a certain extent. Ice ground, right? This one's just ice rock. This one's ice ground with earthquake. This one's ice ground with drill run. Dugong's probably somewhere on here. Yeah, Dugong's at 13. So these Pokemon make sense. Again, I would build it with a bulkier Pokemon to kind of deal with that. And then what's it? Gastrodon, Clodsire. Again, Clodsire, Diggersby, ground type Pokemon for bulk. Like add a couple bulky Pokemon on the back there to do some coverage, and maybe something like this. Maybe something like Clodsire, Dugong. Is it Leavanny or Leavanny or Leavanny? I don't know how to pronounce it. Obviously, someone will correct me, or if they have not already. Again, flyers still may be pretty tough with X-Edge or Leaf Blade, and then Earthquake on this, and you have to rely on your Poison Sludge Bomb. But this is how sort of you team build with this Pokemon. Anyways, that is it. Let me know in the comments below if you are excited for this community, or if it's just like another one was like, I'll grab one and then that's about it. Yeah, so thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.